if it quacks like a duck and walks like a dog. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Chitu Womehoma Prince Will. I am the director of special duty at the National Biotechnology Development Agency.
Presenting my registrar and CEO. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Barrister Abana Aisha Shehu from Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange. I'm here representing my
Commodities
MD.
Exchange. Excellent. That's a refreshing one. Proceed. And you don't need to stand, by the way. Just feel free and speak from where you're seated. No need to get up and follow the protocol. Proceed.
Okay, I'm here representing the MD of Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kunle Fadari, the head Abuja office, NASIMA, Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture. I'm here representing my Director General.
Nasima?
Nasima.
Thank you. It's refreshing.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Professor Gloria Chukwudebe. I'm the Director for the Center of Excellence in Sustainable Procurement, Environmental and Social Standards. I got an invitation online I also got to know about the program because I'm director in Eco Connect. So I'm here to network as much as possible for applied research. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. She's ageless. I've known her for over 20 years. She's not changed.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Olakunle Sunday Akinshola, Director, Educational Research Center. I'm here representing my Executive Secretary, Nigeria Educational Research and Development Council, Professor Jubri Ismail.
Nigeria Educational Research
and Development Council.
Not just ERC.
NERC.
NERC. We have an ERC.
Yeah, there's the Resource Center.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Let's move on. Oh, you have the mic already, so let's put this over there.
Good morning, all. My name is Awoicho Nojan. I am the DD representing the Federal Ministry of Education. DD Research. So thank you.
Okay, so you're in education anyway. So,
good morning, everyone. My name is Pius Patrick Ikoko. I'm a Director of Planning, Research and Development, Nigerian Institute of Science, Laboratory Technology. I'm here representing the Director General, Yemi Gbadegashi.
Thank you. Pass the microphone. You don't need to stand really, but if you choose to, only just
Good
take a few
morning,
seconds.
everyone. My name is Monir Abubakar, Head Research PTDF, representing the General Manager, Strategic Planning, Research and Documentation of PTDF Engineer Olainka Bola.
PTDF, Petroleum Development?
Petroleum Technology Development Fund.
Ah, okay, PTDF. Interesting.
Stand up. I'm a teacher. Good morning, all.
Teachers sit these days.
The name is Adepoju Oluwasanumi, Professor of Educational Research and Evaluation, and the Director, Research and Development, Directorate of Gombe State University, here representing the Vice Chancellor, Professor Aliyu El Nafati. Good morning, all.
Thank you. I hope you're listening. There's a lot of networking that will be happening in the course of these 3 days. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Vincent Pam Gyang. I'm from Nigerian Institute of Medical Research. I'm a senior research fellow there. I'm also an LOC member, and I also represent my DG, Professor Babatunde Salako. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Dr. Comfort Ochepo from Tertiary Education Trust Fund. I work in the Research and Development Department. I'm standing in Executive Secretary, Architect Sonny Echono. As soon as they step in, I will step as. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have just been joined by the Honorable Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Chief Uche Naji. Good morning. Welcome. We're doing introductions, so we'll interrupt that and bring you right on stage. I know you're going for other meetings, so we will not waste too much of your time. So with your permission, I will pause introductions here and proceed with the rest of the program as we have it on the agenda. If time permits, we'll continue because we want to know everybody and have you know everybody. All right, thank you. So it's my pleasure, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to ask that we rise at this time for the national anthem before I bring the minister up. The national anthem. Thank you. Please resume your seats, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I would use a bit of my discretion to ask that we have on stage two gentlemen who have been piloting affairs of RDI in Nigeria so far to come on stage to welcome the Honorable Minister when he joins them. Right there. So I mean, Omo Oaya, would you please come and take that seat over there? And then Dr. Bobola, yes, come on stage. You're going to give some remarks. Please come right up. so you would not keep the minister waiting, and he shouldn't be lonely when I bring him up. This will be just for a short time. The gentlemen are surprised, but, well, I use my discretion sometimes. So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to ask the distinguished minister. He's a gentleman to the core, and many of you already know him. He's beginning to set a lot of high standard. I witnessed the just concluded Tech Expo as the best that has happened so far since inception of that Tech Expo. Nigerian Tech Expo was wonderful. I was there myself to witness the exhibitions. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage His Excellency Chief Uche Naji, Honorable Minister, Science, Technology, and Innovation, right here. Okay, so now he's comfortable, the two gentlemen flanking him on both sides, and both of them actually have responsibility for this event. And I speak of the CSO, Chief Strategy Officer, right, of WACREN. WACREN is more known in Ghana than in Nigeria. It's something to do with West and Central Africa research. What is up to you? What I will ask you to indulge us now will be to just take a few goodwill messages, just a few. I was to take 5, but I've reduced it to 2. And I have just 4 minutes left for it before you make your own presentation, the keynote speech, and declare this program open. So what I have done is to offer 2 of my 4 minutes to, first will be the Academy of Science, the Professor Sambo, if you could please just come. And I'm happy if you make it in 1 minute, actually, but maximum 2 minutes.
Protocol very well established. Now, like the coordinator has already mentioned, the OM, I recognize the former DG of Energy Commission of Nigeria, Professor Abubakar Sambo, who incidentally is the president-elect of Nigeria Academy of Science, Professor Deremi of NIBS, who just spoke now, all other stakeholders, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome an Innovation Coordination Summit. It is an honor and a privilege to stand before you today as we embark on a journey to redefine the reposition Nigeria on the global map of innovation, science and technology. The theme of our gathering, advancing Nigeria's global competitiveness through a resilient national RDI coordination, is not just a statement of intent. It is a clarion call to action. In today's rapidly evolving world, the pace of technological advancements is not just fast, it is exponential. Nations that have recognized and harnessed the power of research, development, and innovation are leading the charge towards economic prosperity, societal well-being, and sustainable development. It is time for Nigeria to take its rightful place among these nations. To achieve this, we must first acknowledge that our RDI ecosystem requires robust coordination, one that is resilient, inclusive, and forward-thinking. Our goal is to create a system where academia, industry, government, and the community not only interact but thrive together, fostering an environment ripe for groundbreaking innovations. Our vision for Nigeria is to become a hub for African innovation, contributing significantly to the global knowledge economy. This can be achieved by implementing a three-pronged approach. One, strengthening institutional frameworks. It is imperative that we build and strengthen the institutional frameworks necessary for effective RDI coordination. This includes policy reforms that insensitize research and development, protect intellectual properties, and facilitate the commercialization of research outcomes. Two, fostering public-private partnership. The collaboration between the public sector, private industry, and academic institutions is crucial. By fostering partnerships that leverage the strengths of each sector, we can accelerate the translation of research into market-ready solutions that address our most pressing challenges. And lastly, investing in human capital. At the heart of any successful RDI ecosystem are the people. Investing in education and training to build a skilled workforce ready to navigate and lead in the fourth industrial revolution is non-negotiable. We must nurture our young talents and provide them with the platforms to excel and innovate. Ladies and gentlemen, the journey to enhancing Nigeria's global competitiveness through resilient RDI coordination is a collective endeavor. It requires commitment, collaboration, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. As we deliberate over the course of this summit, let us be guided by the principle that our unity in purpose and action is our most significant strength. In closing, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to everyone present here today. Your participation underscores the importance of this summit and your commitment to shaping a brighter future for Nigeria. It is now my great honor to declare the National RDI Coordination Summit officially open. May our discussions be fruitful and our resolutions transformative. Together, let us chart a new course towards a more innovative, competitive, and prosperous Nigeria. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. God bless us all, and thank you.
Well, I would ask you to indulge the Honourable Minister by a second round of applause for the two things he did, his speech, and then also asking you to proceed with the conference. But we'll now do a photograph, group photograph. After this one, please remain. I know you're in a hurry to leave, but I'll ask the CEOs and their representatives to join us right on stage so we can capture the full presence of those of you who are here representing your corporations. Please just come forward. If you're a chief executive or you represent one, please hurry up on stage. The minister needs to leave right now. Oh, if the stage will be too small for this number, we would have to step down. But I think that's about all. If you could please move forward a bit, and let's see if we can take more persons from behind. Oh my goodness. I don't want to be... So are we all okay? We can take the second line, if you don't mind. Thank you very much for the shot. Just tarry a little while. There's still one more. Oh, great. So that's it. Oh, hold on still. One more. This is in commemoration of today's event, the first of its kind in Nigeria, Abuja. The RDI coordination team is being set up here in Abuja, and we have on stage Honorable Minister flanked by Wakren and Reich SD, and then the rest of the CEOs who are in attendance today. Just so you know that we're building a powerful platform for coordination of research, development, and innovation in Nigeria. This is just the beginning. A lot more will happen. So thank you very much for being part of this show at this time. I'd like to ask you to please go back and resume your seats. And this is to then ask the Honourable Minister if he would take his leave or tarry for just a bit of interaction, but he makes that decision. So we go into a lot more discussions. We'll take a next presentation right away. But I would ask that you please resume your seats. If you're standing, kindly take the next chair to you. In the course of the morning opening, we were joined by quite a good number of distinguished persons, but I don't want to commit the crime of introducing one, or without all of them. So forgive me for not running through any other recognitions at this time. Let's proceed with the paper, and I assume we all have the agenda. The second presentation would have come from another minister, but I assume he also has to be in that same meeting that we let Chief Naji attend. So when he does return, we will take the paper on innovative financing of well-coordinated RDI ecosystem. But now I think we should listen to the presentation on leveraging national RDI coordination for the delivery of the renewed hope agenda. And this paper will be presented by an ambassadorial fellow of NIPS. It's my pleasure at this time to interrupt. Yes, my pleasure to interrupt the warm chat between Professor Bogoro and and the ambassador. We do need you now right on stage. If you're Ambassador Aderemi, right? If you would please be ready for the NIPS presentation at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, please applaud him as he comes to speak on leveraging national RDI coordination for the delivery of the renewed hope agenda. Ambassador Aderemi Ajibewa. Oh, okay. Sorry. That's my error. So I'm sorry. You can continue with the bantering. I apologize for having to interrupt your discussion. So I'd asked the wrong person to come forward, and I saw that confusion on your face. I apologize for it. But let's please step out, whoever can help, and let's have the NIPS representative back into the hall. Can I get an assistance? Anyone willing to? So we can proceed with the rest of the program. We should be getting ready for a panel. The next item apart from that paper will be a panel, and let me prompt the panelists so they would also remain in the hall because they're coming right after the presentation that's coming next. We will be talking about, in the panel, co-creating a functional and resilient RDI ecosystem in Nigeria. That panel will have the MBTE, the president of Nigeria Academy of Science, Executive Vice Chairman Naseni, CEO of TY Danjuma Foundation, and of course the Executive Director of Dangote Group, ED, Dangote Group. If you're in the hall, please don't leave because you're coming next. So we have been rejoined by Ambassador Aderemi, who okay, there he is. Thank you. I mistook the gentleman right in front for you because the lights are right there in my eyes. So I just announced you for the. Are you ready for the presentation? Please come forward. Applaud him as he comes right on stage. No time to waste.
as we gather here, I think it's evident that we are aware that Nigeria is at a crossroad in many sense. While we are endowed with adamant human and natural resources, we are confronted with multifaceted challenges that impede our socio-economic progress. And these challenges, as we are all familiar, it range but not limited to ranging from the infrastructural deficit to unemployment, which require innovative solutions that harness the power of research, development, and innovation. President Tinubu development priorities are aimed at transforming Nigeria into prosperous and developed nations. And to achieve this goal, it is imperative to leverage national research, development, and innovation. These three components are crucial for driving sustainable development and creating a knowledge-based economy. And we are happy that with the new administration, there's also the various departments and ministries that have come into being. Investing in research, the government can gather valuable data and information that will assist in making informed decisions and implementing effective development programs. Development is key to driving growth and progress in any nation. As I've mentioned earlier, I was privileged to be at Science Policy Research Unit at Sussex. That was as a doctorate fellow then at 1988-89. And quite a lot of what emphatically goes within the Science Policy Research Unit is the issue of R&D. But the most important thing that came through my 1 year with them was that the technology itself or the research cannot be transferred totally. That you have to struggle and to get it from even Japan and the Asian tigers then. So having said this, by leveraging national research, development, and innovation, the government can ensure that its development priorities are aligned with some of its goals, both the long-term goals of the nation and that of its medium goal. Innovation is a catalyst for economic growth and social change. By encouraging and supporting innovation, the government can foster entrepreneurship, attract foreign direct investment, and create job opportunities. These are big words which I'm happy that quite a lot of us, we all know in the 70s and the 80s, we have the Leyland, we have the battery factory on Ibadan Road and the various hubs, even in the north. But what do we see of this these days? Even the Elijah still development is still part of those things that we are missing. By encouraging and supporting innovation, the government can foster, as I've said earlier, entrepreneurship, attract foreign direct investment, and create job opportunity. Furthermore, innovation can drive efficiency and productivity, leading to improved service delivery in sectors such as healthcare, agriculture, manufacturing. And by leveraging national research, development, and innovation, the government can create an ecosystem that encourages creativity and problem solving, thus propelling Nigeria towards its development priorities. Leveraging national research, development, and innovation require a multifaceted approach. The government must invest in research institutions, providing them with the necessary resources and support to conduct high-quality research. Additionally, collaborations with universities, private sector organizations, and international institutions can enhance research capabilities and provide access to cutting-edge technology. Moreover, policies and regulations are two distinct things. My stint with both in academia, in international non-governmental organization, and international organizations like ECOWAS and UN and AU, where I've been privileged to work and do some work, shows that there are a lot of difference between what is being taught in the classroom as well as the practical aspect of it and the policy aspect of it as well. So policies and regulation must be in place to protect intellectual property rights and incentive innovation. By investing in research, promoting sustainable development, and fostering innovation, the government can steer Nigeria towards becoming a prosperous and developing nation. And this has been harnessed as well by the SDG, by the UN, by even Agenda 2063, by the AU as well as some of the regional economic communities like ECOWAS. They have been leveraging and working with member states, which Nigeria is one of them. It is in response to this that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Renew Hope agenda, acknowledging the pivotal role that all-encompassing approach is needed to leverage the capacity of Nigerians to innovate and create solutions across various sectors, including agriculture, which I have quite a lot of experts on it, manufacturing, information technology, and academia. The introduction of intellectual property as well as IA is another area that we need to focus on. I was discussing with some youths who came from abroad some 2 months ago, and I was telling them that actually where are we heading in Africa? Even if with your AI, you are saying that the jobs are going to be displaced. But however, I came with the conclusion when we did the analysis and discussion that the AI will affect the artificial intelligence, will affect the developed countries more than us. 60% of the workforce will be left redundant over there, while in Africa, it will be only like 20%. Whereas with the emerging economies, they will also suffer like 34%. But nevertheless, we know that even as we go into this stage, we also need to prepare ourselves, because that's the effect of information technology we had and technology issues that we had in the last 2 decades. So it is in response, as I've said, that the president believed that the Renewed Hope agenda acknowledged the pivotal role that an all-encompassing approach needed to be done in terms of the innovation and creating solutions across sectors. And I've mentioned some of these sectors. It is in this vein that the coordination of national RDI strategies becomes not only crucial, but also urgent. And our president has put it in the right place and the right measures to go along with this. Blue economy, you've heard of it, and making sure that the technocrats are left, but we are to see the effect of what will be done. National Research Fund. In line with the President's vision, the establishment of a National Research Fund will catalyze the resolution of challenges and the acceleration of progress. This fund, if properly harnessed, will undoubtedly propel Nigeria towards a knowledge-driven economy, fostering innovation and sustainable development. Also, the upscaling science research infrastructure. The call to upscale science research infrastructure and funding in our university, polytechnic, and colleges of education cannot be overemphasized. It is through such deliberate investment in research infrastructure that we can foster a culture of innovation and provide the necessary support for groundbreaking discoveries. There's also the issue of regional economic development clusters, which I mentioned earlier. Furthermore, the reappropriation of the 6 geographical zones as regional economic development cluster present a transformative opportunity. One of the things that I learned while I went to China as part of the African senior diplomats in the year 2006 and 2014 was that we realized that actually Beijing is not where they produce all their, where the industry are. It's far interior. And most of the time, you see that the products, if it needs to be shipped, they have a different product for Africa, they have a different product for their natural place. But what I tend to see is that they have centers, just like my experience in Malaysia as well. They have a place what they call East Asia Growth Area, IGA-BIMP, Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Philippines. Why I was fortunate to be there 95 to 98 as Sarawak, University of Malaysia, Sarawak. But what I tend to see, we call them Asia Tigers and the growing, what I tend to see is that they have already envisaged that there is likelihood to be migration. And what they did was the East Asia Growth Area was created in Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Philippines. So that when the youths are about going, they will be locked to the industrial areas and technological areas there. I did propose the same year, 2007, when the ECOWAS and the EU met. I did mention that because we will have a lot of migration problem where they, where they could be saying we are going there for just economic migrants. I did mention that it is a pull and push effect, supply and demand. That's where the notion came, 2007, when they said some of us in Africa, we are just going there as economic migrant, but we sell is a sort of brain drain. So likewise, we need to create those clusters in some of these, our geographical zones, so that at the end of the day, the issue of growth could be, we could see the inclusive growth could be seen to propel Nigeria to becoming an economic powerhouse within the African continent. Nigeria is regarded as the giant of Africa, but with the internal problem as well as the economic hardship, we are residing. But there is a need for us to prepare, because part of the policy, if we want to be the giant and we want to be a leader in the region, there are certain prerequisites and there are certain conditions. We have to play the leadership role. Engaging the diaspora for international partnership. Whether we like it or not, the diaspora, they play a very formidable role. When I was at Sussex, we did a joint work with the Migration Center at Oxford. And I did it with Professor Shola Akinriade, which is we talk about the migrant community in the UK and what effect they have made. And that was the time as well, some of us, we were recruited during the Obasanjo first regime, 1999. Some of us were recruited at Atlanta and some were in Westminster, UK. But we tend to see that those that were brought in then, the diaspora, I mean, you are all witness to it, like Julius, myself, a bit, I came to the this center there, Conflict Research Center. So quite a lot of it, most often you realize that the diaspora that play a role. In terms of remittance as well, they also had their role there. Because most of the Nigerians, they are highly educated in the diaspora for international partnership. And this is very pivotal. Their representation and leadership in organization can serve as natural conduit to international market, capital and foreign direct investment, FDI. And that's where those Asian tigers as well, whether we like it or not, quite a lot of them have gone to US. They've gone to UK, all the northern countries. But while they are, they do go back to their country and help to establish the technological aspect in their country. So the role of diaspora cannot be underestimated. Further to this, I believe achieving a 10 trillion naira knowledge economy in Nigeria through national research, development, and innovation R&D coordination requires a comprehensive, a coordinated approach across various sectors. And some of the strategies that can be pursued include, but not limited to, strengthening intellectual property rights, IPR protection. The existing IPR protection needs to be strengthened to encourage innovation by safeguarding the rights of investors and creators. This will boost investor confidence and incentivize innovation-driven entrepreneurship. Education and skill development. More investment in education and skill development is essential for building a knowledge-based economy. Nigeria focuses on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education, is to be enhanced to equip its workforce with the skills needed for RDI-driven industries. There will be the need to promote TVET as a major driver of the knowledge-driven economy. Consequences, a nationally coordinated apprenticeship program is necessary in this country. And I'm happy to say that we've seen quite a lot of educational sectors now. When we were growing up, it was an anatomy for people like you to go, for us, to go to technical colleges. We even see it as those of us that were even given admission in Ilorin, like 1980, I think Ilorin was 78, 79. We were saying these are backyard university, but unfortunately, what I tend to see that quite a lot of the product of University of Ilorin were able to come out in medical areas, and also when we were there, the PLAB, they exempted them. So I realized that quite a lot of time, the notion, the mindset is there. We believe that going to Polytechnic, I have two of my friends who are professors, they send their children to both Yaba College of Technology and then University of Lag, and simultaneously they got the degree. And at the end of the day, it is the one for HND they managed to use to get their job. Now, there are two of them. But when they were sending their kids like that, I was saying, why are you doing this? He said, Remy, we've gone far ahead. The mistake that our parents made, we should not. So, likewise, there is a need to emphasize the need for technical vocational education, so that at least we will not be focusing only on the degree per se. So having said that, there's also the need for industry and academia collaboration. I gave example of facilitating collaboration between academia and industry. Sorry. Facilitate collaboration between the academia and industry, promote knowledge exchange and technology transfer. One of the good things with our universities now is that this issue of internship, it has helped a lot. Where I worked formerly in ECOWAS, every year my department and some other departments, they usually send them from Abu, Ife, and Co. They do 6-month internship with us in most of our departments. And at the end of the day, some of them gain knowledge by coming back to do their NYC there. And by the time we advertised for P1, P2 position, some of them are qualified. I could see one or two of those chaps here, even in this room, when I came in. So these are things that we need to innovate. We should not believe that with the PhD, sorry, PhD is good. As I used to tell my colleagues, PhD is good. That we tell people like me, after I've retired in ECOWAS, I was taken up by 2 other areas before I finally decided to go to NIPS. But however, there's also the need for us to look inside, to look at ways that we can generate. I'm happy we have many of their professors here. They're agriculturists, but at the same time, they have turned farmers. Yes, which is good. Unlike myself, mine is in the area of economics, diplomacy, and co. The only thing I can do is research and this, but we want to encourage people in other science-based courses to make sure that at least they practicalize what they learned both in the Polytechnic and in the university. Sorry. So then there's also the need for our research institutions to work closely with the business, private business. That's an area we've also neglected. Private business, we don't involve them. Especially I'm in the area of conflict. What I tend to see when we started, we never bring the private industry into it. But they also have a role where there is lack of peace. Then their business will not forge. Later on, 2012, we had a department of private sector. That's when we started seeing people like Dangote, Lever Brothers, and others. They now start working along with us. So there's a need also for this industry academic collaboration, so that at the end of the day, we are all going to have a sort of, which will lead to commercialization of research findings and development of innovative products and services. And then there's a need for support for startup and SMEs. I'm happy we have quite a lot of, most of these MDs here as SME. There's a need to help them, the medium enterprise, to play a crucial role in driving innovative and economic growth. In fact, I've read quite a lot of things that the SME and this smaller informal trade, they made more in terms of the growth than even the areas that we often targeted. Providing access to financing, business development support, and market opportunities can fuel the growth of these enterprises. There's also the digital infrastructure development. Investment in digital infrastructure such as broadband internet and digital platform is vital for enabling innovation and knowledge sharing. Improved connectivity expands access to information and facilitates collaboration in RDI. We all know a few days ago, I even thought it was only Nigeria. I was in Accra, Ghana last week. For the whole, in fact, our system, internet system, was even more brighter than their own. I now ask, they said, is it not affecting your country as well? I said, yes, but we are able to manage to hear. For 2 days, I was here last Monday, Tuesday, and the internet was down. At the end of the day, in our own case here, they were telling us that the internet was off due to some things. But nevertheless, there is a need for us to improve connectivity, expand access to information, and facilitate collaboration in RDI activities. There is also the government policies and regulation. Enacting supportive policies and regulation is essential for creating an enabling environment for RDI. These include policies that promote competition, facilitate technology adoption, and incentivize innovative-led entrepreneurs. As I've said earlier, there's a difference between technology transfer. There's also the technology adoption. These are terms that I got to know while at Sussex there at Science Policy, because that time the professor informed us that Africa, don't think that they will give you this technology at that you have to either struggle, steal, or adopt. That to transfer it will be difficult. So, and I tend to realize that we have quite a lot of my colleagues who led the STI, Akinbamiji Oyebanji as well. Monitoring and evaluation, implementing robust monitoring and evaluation mechanism. Most of the problems that we do have, even in most of the ministries, agencies, international organizations, and member states, is the issue of monitoring and evaluation. And that's where the advanced countries, they don't joke with. They look at it to make sure that at each stage, they have a monitoring and evaluation mechanism in place that allows for the tracking of progress towards achieving the RDI goals. Regular assessment helps identify the gaps. It also helps us to know areas of measurable impact and also inform future policy decisions. So it helps with identify the gaps, looking at the measures that impact the outcome, the impact, as well as the inform future policy division. So I urge us, all the stakeholders today, government agencies, research institutions and academia, industry partners and civil societies that are here to join hands in charging a new course for Nigeria RDI ecosystem. We must work collaboratively to develop a coherent, comprehensive national RDI strategy that aligns with the developmental priorities of our nations. Central to this strategy is the need to foster a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship that nurtures creativity, rewards risk-taking. Yes, one of the things that I tend to even see between us and the advanced country is that we don't take the risk. We need to take risk. There's the risk-taking on their part. That's why we see that even as far back as 1969, I was in primary school then. I remember those two astronauts that went into the space. And then since then, they've developed space technology. Moreover, we must prioritize sectors critical to Nigeria's sustainable development. This includes, but not limited to, agriculture, healthcare, renewable energy, information technology, and manufacturing. By leveraging RDI in these key sectors, we can drive inclusive growth, create jobs, and enhance the quality of life for all Nigerians. As we embark on this journey, we must also prioritize the development of human capital through investment in education, skills training, and skills acquisition, and capacity building. Our ability to compete in the global knowledge economy depends on our ability to empower our people with the knowledge and skill required to innovate and adapt the evolving challenges. That's why I think the new policy now, which they have just brought in the educational sector, is what has been preached long time, that each and every individual should be given a free chance to educate, so that they will be able to, you will be able to discover that access, that the skill, the asset that individual, and then the society will be able to help develop it by sharpening, by championing and creating a conducive environment, and then such an individual will be able to deploy it to the society in its own way. Let me also reiterate, as I round up, that the time has come for Nigeria to unleash its full potential through the strategic leveraging of national research development and innovation. The successful coordination and articulation of national RDI strategies are fundamental to the realization of President Bola Tinubu's development priorities. It is NIP's firm belief that through cohesive action, strategic investment, and unwavering commitment to innovation, Nigeria will not only overcome its current challenges, but also emerge as a beacon of progress and prosperity. I thank you for your rapt attention, and that's on behalf of the DG, NIPS, National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, Kuru Jos. Thank you.
happen anyway. We're just making slight adjustments, and it's critical so we get things right. But if you find any slips, we apologize ahead of time, and don't be offended. I actually would apologize to you too when I mistake you for the ambassador. And well, forgive me, they look alike, don't they? All right, so we're going on to a panel, and the purpose of that panel is to actually deepen the discussions. So we look at the various parts. We're talking about RDI coordination, so there are all kinds of issues required. So we thought a panel will do justice to it, so we'll bring in about five persons. And anybody I name and who comes on stage, I would ask the secretariat not to stop. So if you hear a name, that's it. You're going to be on that panel. There are slight adjustments being made, but I'm proceeding with the names that I have. And we do have the title. For those of you who don't know that panel, let me give you the background, what we'll be talking about. It's co-creating a functional and resilient research, development, and innovation ecosystem in Nigeria. RDI, Research, Development, and Innovation. I had a lot about research this morning, a lot about research. There were many professors, research institutes, but I am happy to hear a bit more about development, really. So how is that? What's that? And I get also innovation. I didn't hear much from the innovators. And I know we do have Nigeria's innovator-in-chief, who isn't here today, but might be here tomorrow. But his colleagues in the ecosystem didn't come today, but I hope they will come with him tomorrow. John is not a pope, but he's also called Paul. John Paul is standing by me, and I can guess the reason he's here. He's probably wanting to help me with the names, but where I falter, I would cede the time to him to proceed. But that's the topic. So the panelists are Professor Idris Bugaje. Where is he seated? There. Okay, great. So is the Executive Secretary of the National Board for Technical Education. And I have it on good authority that the colleges under him will begin to make small things like those things we import from China. You know, those small adapters and those little things. And the badge, the thing you're wearing, well, sometimes they're imported from China. So he's the colleges under him will begin to make those things in time. It's a technical college institution. Please applaud, really. So, and then the executive vice chairman of NASENI is represented by Professor Omar Gaya. Professor Gaya. Professor Gaya is controlling director or coordinating director, right? Science infrastructure at NASENI. I used to do that very well those days. They still do a good job at NASENI. So, Professor Bogoro, you have many lives, so many lives. I know you do a lot of work for RIC SD, but I'm tempted to ask you to come on stage. Yes. But don't talk TED Fund. Don't talk TED Fund. So we will limit you to the Academy of Science, right? Clap for Professor Bogoro. You know, the lake charge is receding, in a frightening speed. But as a Lake Chad Research Institute, which is run by Professor Babagana. Professor Babagana? Did we? Oh, there you are. Okay. Thank you. If you please join them. Do I have more seats? Yes. I intend to populate this this podium fully. And All these are government people. There's no businessman, which is the problem I have with tech innovation and the science, tech and innovation program that they run every year, sometime about this month, March. The businessmen don't attend. The real businessmen don't come to those events. So I would use a bit of my discretion, since I have the microphone, to ask that whoever here is the head of the delegation from MTN. Where are you seated? Head of the MTN delegation. The MTN Foundation is represented at this event. I don't know him. If you're here, please indicate. There's an urgent message for you. Okay, it was going to be something very nice, so I withhold it. Don't, don't blame me. But if you know him and he stepped out, please invite him back, so we will offer him what it is. I still have one chair, so, but that chair will go to the moderator. It's my pleasure to ask that Dr. Moritala Oke please come, and he will be piloting affairs for this. But before he starts, Bibi, I prefer that to John Paul, but whichever you prefer, would take a few moments to give us a context of this whole panel. I haven't done it, but he's a human. He's done a lot of work from how many days? All this while. So he's got under his belt every letter about RDI. He's of Reich SD as well, so they know so much about why we are here. When it's done, I will do this ahead of time. I will leave you with him, and later in the very able arms of the moderator. I would move this slightly so you can see his handsome face. He's a member of the LOC from NIPS as well, and he's soft-spoken but very intelligent. So at this time, John will give you the context and then hand over to the moderator, and I'll be happy to leave the stage. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Standing on already established protocols, honorable guests, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen, once more, good morning. It's a pleasure for me. I am John Paul Bimbe. I am the new Media and Networking League at Reich SD, that is Research for Impact, Knowledge Economy, and Sustainable Development. And I'm also happy to be a coordinating member of the LOC for our National RDI Coordination Summit today. It's a pleasure again to introduce these very wonderful, honorable panels. A lot of my fathers and mentors are here today. I'm excited to hear their opinions on our theme for this panel session: co-creating a functional and resilient RDI ecosystem for Nigeria. So this panel shall focus on the identification and validation of critical elements and components that will support a well-coordinated, connected, functional, resilient, and sustainable RDI ecosystem in Nigeria. So the panelists we have here shall, the panelist engagement shall focus on the best fit model for RDI ecosystem management for Nigeria's case as a primary outcome. So the protocols for this panel shall be, say, 90-minute panel. It could be less, depending on how the moderator sees fit. The panel guidelines are as follows. So moderator, you are going to welcome our panelists, and they will have 5 minutes to give a brief overview on this topic and stating the objectives and the structure of what they think it is. Then the presenters shall explain their perspective on the topic for 5 minutes each. The moderator invites each panel member to address any key issues raised as part of other panel members in their initial introductory statements. This will go for 3 minutes each for any feedbacks, questions that are raised from them. Then we will have, the moderator will summarize any key points that are made. The moderator will also ask specific questions, can also invite the audience to pose questions. And this audience will have 15 minutes to interact with the panel. And finally, panel members will sum up their positions on the topic in 2 minutes each, and our moderator can then close the session. So thank you so much as I bow out of stage and allow the moderator to take over. Doctor, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. What do I call you? Are you a moderator now or advanced moderator? I am very happy to be here. I've been part of the LOC with Professor Gaya, so I'm comfortable. You are around. I'm shielded because I have Professor Buguru here, one of the great-grandson of Professor Buguru in terms of education. So, and I'm comfortable also with the fact that the ED of the Lakeshard Research Institute, I was part of a member or scientific member that at an international conference that we had 3 years ago. So I'm comfortable with you. We are in the same area of the, of research, and the MBTE. We had a lot of work to do. We did a lot of work last year, and from NIBS. So I'm also very much comfortable with all of them. So good afternoon, panelists. What we want to discuss is not necessarily out of context. We are used to it. We are in the field of it, and so what we want to do today is to bring up more of discussion around it, and then a way forward to be developed around it. We are looking at co-creating a functional, underlying functional, and resilient, underlying resilient RDI economy. And we know that most of us in this all, we are in the RDI economy. And so we know that we will be able to do a very good job at the end of the day. So without much ado, a contest has been set. I will start from MBTE, the ES MBTE, to give us a first shot of your understanding of the context from MBTE perspective of a functional and resilient RDI economy for Nigeria.
Thank you very much, the moderator, distinguished members of the panel, distinguished cream of the R&D family in Nigeria. I could see many CEOs and former CEOs of research institutes. Congratulations also to the organizers. When the organizers came to my office some time ago, I thought that it was just an NGO struggling to survive against the harsh economic realities. But when I saw the cream of people here and the way they were able to garner the support of key ministries and government agencies, then I told myself this is a very serious business. And I'm happy to be part of it. I was a member of the Science and Technology Ministry some more than 10 years ago. At that time, Dr. Binder was the firebrand. I am surprised he's not on the panel. We had several others. I have met a lot of my colleagues here. The name was changed later to Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. Again, later they changed it to Innovation, Science and Technology, bringing the innovation first. At the end of the day, the question I always ask is, after all these efforts, what technology have we churned out from all these 17 agencies of this great ministry? A technology that we can call Nigerian. There isn't any. Look around yourselves. The phones you are holding are made either in Korea, United States, or China. The air conditioner there is LG. It's made in Korea. What are the things? The vehicles we came here to attend this program, they were made in different parts of the world. Nigeria is 63 years old, yet Nigeria has not produced one single technology that it can now be proud of in the global village. We have remained consumers of technology produced by others. This is the major challenge. Secondly, I'm happy the last speaker, the ambassador, spoke about the role of TVET. Technical and vocational education is critical in delivering any product of technology. This is the point we are missing. And that's why government has also missed it, because up till now, technical and vocational education is underfunded. We have only 126 technical colleges against 15,000 secondary schools in Nigeria. The funding of the MBTE, the regulatory body, is dismally low, less than $500 million. NUC got 32.8 billion in the capital budget this year. How serious are we about technical and vocational education? And if you go into history, you will discover that all the innovations were not even produced by the universities. It was produced by vocational and technical people. Right from the first industrial revolution, 1774, the steam engine developed by James Watt. He started building that engine in 1769. He completed it in 1774. A Scottish artisan. That was what marked the first industrial revolution in Europe. That was what brought in colonization of Africa to get raw materials to feed those industries. That was also what brought an end to the slave trade. So it's a marked, revolution in history. It was produced not in any university laboratory, but by a roadside technician. His name was James Watt. If you buy a bulb, they will tell you it's 20 watts. It's in honor of James Watt. Yet we have neglected our technical and vocational education in Nigeria. Come down lane from 1774, the discovery of electricity by Benjamin Franklin. He was not a professor of any department in any university. He was carrying out a crude experiment using a kite, very dangerous experiment. He flew a kite, he put a conducting material, and the fact that the kite gave him a nasty shock confirmed to him that electricity can flow. That was the beginning of the discovery of current electricity, which is powering everything we are doing here. Come down to the 19th century, the discovery of the diesel engine. Rudolf Diesel was a German technician, not a professor. He developed that engine in 1896. People didn't know about it until 1901, when he exhibited it in Paris. So these are the people our research effort should be geared towards. It's only the color television, yes. It was developed in the University of Strathclyde in Scotland. That we can concede. I'm not talking about the science. I'm talking about the technology, the application of science to solve practical problems. For science, it's university material. I agree with that. The laws governing motion, the laws governing thermodynamics, all other laws, even though the science is yet to solve the problem of turbulence up till today. There isn't any single equation developed by any university in the world that can describe turbulence. That's why when you enter the aeroplane, they will tell you, put on your seatbelt. We are experiencing turbulence. Anytime I hear that, I say, science is yet to conquer turbulence. Yet turbulence was the first phenomenon. The first phenomenon in nature, in our lives. The Big Bang, when it happened, it was turbulence. Turbulence was what created the entire universe, the planets. Up till now, science is yet to solve the problem of turbulence. When you took off laminar flow, we have Stokes-Navier equations developed in US, Stokes, Navier from France. They developed it, but you only apply them in laminar flow. Those partial differential equations. You only apply them in laminar flow. Nobody designs any equipment in the process industry to work on laminar. We always want to create turbulence because transfer rates of heat, mass, and momentum are faster under turbulence. But we have solved that problem. Engineers have solved that problem by developing what? Correlations. Let me not digress. Go. I'm going a little bit far into something else. Now, my point is, TVET is key. Look at the Nigerian refineries. Why have they failed? Because they were entirely designed, fabricated, installed by, it's a turnkey project from overseas. Kaduna refinery, Warri refinery, two refineries in Port Harcourt. They are all done turnkey. The recent one in Lekki, it was turnkey. Even the ordinary welders, pipe fitters, Dangote had to import 11,000 from India. A big shame. Shortchanging Nigerian youth.
Okay.
So, the point I'm trying to raise is, we have a serious problem at hand. While I was lecturing in the University of Malaysia in Malaya, 1990s, I came across what they call IRPA, IRPA, Intensive Research in Priority Areas. This was the roadmap. Malaysia had a roadmap. And that's why you can see certain technologies have been produced in Malaysia. The Dell computer you are using is a Malaysian product.
Okay.
To mention among many others. So Nigeria needs a roadmap. I know Professor Bogoro did something very important to research by developing the National Research Fund. To me, that is putting the cart before the horse. I'm very sorry, Your Excellency. The reason is because you need a roadmap. If you bring the funding without a proper roadmap, people will take research grants in areas that are tangential to the development of Nigeria. So there is need for us to have a proper roadmap. I agree with what the first speaker mentioned about industry, academia, collaboration. It's important. But a lot of the industries in Nigeria are appendages of multinational corporations. So we need to develop capacity of our Nigerian industry so that we can use Nigerian technology. If you go to the big players in the oil and gas industry, in the process industries, most of them, their R&D is overseas.
Okay.
Even Dangote, he's just interested in making money. He needs to have a very strong research and development department.
Exactly. We will get to the solution.
Sorry, let me stop here so that I don't take all the time.
More of those solutions.
Thank you.
Especially when you have, that is a very good passion that we really need, and it's coming from the right direction. So we are on track. So all those points, the ES is raising. The person, beside him, is responsible for engineering and national science and engineering infrastructure. And it's being represented by Professor Gaya. Some of those points being raised by the ESABT fall into the responsibility of NASENI. So what is NASENI doing to create a functional and resilient RDI economy for Nigeria? Professor Gaya, please.
Okay, thank you very much.
And you have 5 minutes, please.
Thank you very much. Let me say I am humbled to be with the eminent props. The last lecture I attended, and I think until now I have not attended any other, was his own at the Nile University convocation lecture by Professor Bogoro. And it was quite inspiring, and he was telling us how he revolutionized TET Fund. And I believe it's part of what is propelling Dr. Mustafa Papola himself to do all these things, because he worked with you. Prof, also I cannot forget last year also at the Presidential Implementation Committee for Technology Transfer, you talked about us not having any technology to boast of here in Nigeria. Now I want to take us back to the speech of Parisi, physics Nobel laureate, I think of 2021, at Trieste in Italy. Specifically, he said you cannot do it alone. And we are having this very problem. We have been having this problem for a very long time. And that is why I participated in this LOC myself, representing the Executive Vice Chairman of NASENI. And the first thing I said when I was asked to talk is that we are now trying to deal with the missing link. And all along we have been working alone. Each agency feels it can do it. But I think this is the way to go. We work together. Now I have delivered a lecture on technology transfer at the American University of Nigeria in Adamawa some months back. The previous speaker, Dr. Oluremi, ambassador, mentioned technology adoption. Now, he mentioned that nobody is coming to give you technology. Actually, I talked about a lot of things about technology transfer in the lecture and why it fails. Citing some examples, I didn't cite any example from Nigeria because I wanted to be very, very careful. But now I will talk about Ajaokuta Steel's project. We are having a museum of equipment there. Why are we having that? Why haven't we taken the technology, you know, the technology transfer? Why? Now, a lot of things come. There is what we call technology adoption. There are certain technologies you can adopt, and there are those you cannot actually adopt, but you can only adapt. It depends upon your environment. In Nigeria, we have a lot of problems that will affect technology transfer. I will not go into the technicalities, but I want to say, I want to take us back to a lecture delivered by Professor Escotoyo, late, yes, during Zek's time. He attended Zek's lecture, and he came out, and somebody was asking him, from where are you? He said, I was just attending a lecture by Adamde Azekwe. And he said, what is it all about? What are you worrying yourself about? Because Nigeria has not been able to produce even a needle. Can we produce a needle now? That was then, but can we do it now? Can we do it? It is not bold. Anybody to beat his chest to tell me this. Nobody. We are having a lot of problems. And the earlier we come together to solve our problems, the better. I'm happy. I'm part of NASENI. But even NASENI itself has had its own problems. NASENI came to take out the Ministry of Science. That was in 1992. And I can see Dr. Binder, he's here. I watched his morning show on NTA with the EVC of NASENI. I am representing the EVC of NASENI. Myself, now let me come, I'm Prof. Umar Ibrahim Gaya. I'm only the coordinating director of science there at NASENI. Now, during the talk, the history of NASENI was narrated by Dr. Kashimali. Now, Naseni came to do that, but a lot of ups and downs, right from that time till when Buhari came and he decided to boldly approve the statutory funding of Naseni. So funding issue. Now, the RDI summit here is saying we have triple helix, we have the government, we talk about industry, we talk about the academia, but we should go beyond that. We should be talking about funding, we should be talking about, and you can see it there. Dr. Mustafa has brought something which is quite innovative, and I believe in this movement, and I believe the moment we work together, perhaps in no time we are going to find the solution, but working together, co-creating whatever we are going to do, and being sincere, because we have a lot of attitudinal problems. When Prof started his talk, he said, I thought this is an NGO that is trying to survive. That kind of problem is still persisting and is pervasive in Nigeria. Whenever we come with interest. We don't come to solve the actual problems. And I believe if we work together sincerely, we are going to get it right.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you very much. That's very great. If we work together, we're going to get it. That's a very good one. Okay. That's a very good opening talk from Naseni. Let us now go to the body of scientists, the Academy of Science. And we have here with us Professor Buguru. I don't need to introduce him again. So, Prof, achieving a functional and resilient RDI, is it possible in Nigeria? And how do you think we should go about it?
Oh, good. I just realized. Am I more audible now?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Coordinator. I want to express deep respect and appreciation to this collection of very informed audience, contributors to a platform that has been facilitated by RIKE SD in partnership with international development organizations and agencies. I was briefed by Dr. Ayo a few days ago, and he requested that I avail myself. I told him because within the short period of RIKE SD, I've been very impressed. And I'm happy to proceed. And in any case, some people have jokingly said, my middle name is R&D. I am very happy and I'm at home on the subject matter of R&D. Having said so, I must not miss the point that my boss, I like to call him my boss, the current president of the Academy of Science, Professor Abubakar Sani Sambo, who had to step out because of other engagements, walked across to me and said, if you don't mind, I'm unable to stay and to make the contribution because of another meeting. But I believe you will adequately represent the Academy of Science, communicating on the subject matter of research, development, and innovation ecosystem in Nigeria. I said, sir, I am honored and I'll do my best. Incidentally, 3 years ago, what was it? January 2020, I delivered the inaugural keynote address of the Academy of Science, addressing the role of science and technology in development in Nigeria. That was the very first. Previously, there were no scientific sessions in respect of research outcomes that were shared. That was the very first time, and that the Academy decided I should speak on the role of science and technology in respect of development. And they said they took time to check out on my profile, and they noticed that I had spoken profusely at a number of platforms on innovation, research and development. At the University of Ibadan, the 62nd Interdisciplinary Research Lecture, where I express myself, Nigeria's future, and the inaugural lecture, keynote address of the University of Ibadan Research Foundation think tank that I delivered April 2018 on knowledge economy. Then I recall also the platform of the Nigeria Economic Summit in early 2019 that gave us the opportunity to share thoughts about the triple helix model, that it has evolved. Some people would say, yes, it started as triple helix. We now have a quadruple helix. But some of us insist that the main platforms are those three. That is academia, industry, and government. And government bringing on board its role in policy and indeed governance beyond just policy. Just reflect over that. Whatever you do in your laboratories, in your institutions, if at the end of the day it is not understood by the political leadership, by the policy makers, at the end of the day, you might have been talking to yourself. It's very important that we understood this. I can go on and on. My convocation lecture at Futo Oweri in 2015 was on the need to strengthen the academia-industry partnership with models that I suggested. If you take a look at that distance, you will see where I express myself. But very importantly, at TED Fund, I know what I did because it is not just for the sake of it. I'm being referred to as Mr. R&D, or they say the advocate of R&D. Now, as a university professor, I have no apology about it. The ES of NBTE has sought to demote his rank as a professor, almost representing the professors. I will be addressing that, Professor Bugaje. Don't worry, I can't miss that opportunity, because otherwise you would have lost the basis for which you became rector. If you were not a professor, I'm afraid you would have had problem qualifying. And so, check out the facts, the data, and the information available over decades and centuries. The first, second, third, and now fourth industrial revolution. There is an ascendancy moving from the banalities to the constructive and the science-driven context of knowledge, which in the 21st century is called knowledge economy. We must understand this. If we don't, then we don't know the direction we're moving. Let's get it right. I will want to, Professor Bugaje does not know that I've been an activist. I was a student activist. I've been an ASU activist. And I've been an activist in the NGO platform. On a meeting like this, I want to attempt to give more credit than put out a posture that seems to reduce the value of someone or a party that is very critical. We cannot, I'm not sure Bugaja knows that. Yes, I am a university professor, but I had the privilege of being chairman governing council of a federal polytechnic. And I was also part of a federal government team that evaluated our polytechnics in the context of the dichotomy between the universities and polytechnics. And I've made sure I avoid speaking about some of the issues, because fundamentally I discovered at that committee why the polytechnics have failed to earn their rightful places. Because the operations at the polytechnics, from admission of students in polytechnics to recruitment of lecturers, by the time they are characterized, you will appreciate why the polytechnics have a lot to do to make their case to go near what the universities have the privilege of having. I'm afraid Yes, you mentioned the issue of poor funding. That is a fact. After all, it's the same thing with universities. When I came to TED Fund, one thing I did for 8 years, the NRF grant was 4 billion. You scatter it over 8 years, it comes to 500 million per annum. I made a case to the Board of Trustees of TED Fund in 2019 when I was reinstated as ES. And the Board of Trustees saw my wisdom. I said, I want us to increase it 10 times. And they approved it. 5 billion from 500 million. Funding is very essential. Today, let's get it right. The countries that have invested on universities, technology institutes, centers of excellence, are the ones that are the most competitive. China has overtaken Japan in terms of GDP size, because over the last 10 to 15 years, China, in terms of rate, has been investing, perhaps it might be not more than 2-3 countries that are investing on per capita basis on their population, on science, technology. I mean, talking about STEM. I've heard some people talk of STEAM. That is that, yeah, that we should add arts instead of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And I laugh. I said, in Nigeria today, the conventional universities, the admission of students is supposed to be 60-40. 60 for sciences. Sir, you will agree with me that there is wisdom in that. The most developed countries of the world have the most competitive and the most highly ranked universities. There is a correlation. We cannot miss that. I believe I'll have opportunity to share more perspectives with you. I was happy to see the NIPS man speaking about, I know about 3 years ago, I delivered a senior executive course lecture on the role of science.
I was there.
You were there?
Yes, sir.
On the role of science. And I still remember when in my preliminary remarks, they thought I wasn't ready to address the core issue. And I told them, I'm not going to look at my PowerPoint again. I looked at the audience, and I finished in less than the period they wanted me to finish. And I could see on their faces, they appreciated. It was important to convey a message. And we will continue to do that. And this collection of some of the very best in this country, honestly, I'm so happy. Some of the very best in the industry, as scientists, as medical doctors, they are all here. This country, I had the chance to, just a few seconds, we greeted with the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation before he left. And I know what I told him. He said, Prof, I've heard so much about you. I said, sir, I will come to your office. We need to come and share thoughts. I was the one in the history of TED Fund that I facilitated a partnership, an MOU that was signed between TED Fund and the Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation for partnership. The biggest problem in Nigeria has been the emasculation, in other words, silo mentality. That Ministry of Education has nothing to do with science and technology. That is wrong. Whatever we're doing in science, technology and innovation, if we don't apply science, to in the Ministry of Agri, additional AFDB, president, was at Bayero University, Kano, just about 10 days ago. When I saw that news, I was interested. The Institute for Dry Land Agriculture. In fact, even by the name, I always told the vice chancellors of Bayero University, Kano, that they got it right. It is very unique. Believe me, Adeshina said, we are putting money on value addition in the agri sector. You can disaggregate it to the crop sector, subsector, and the livestock subsector. And the value chains at each stage, as scientists, as researchers, we have not yet done enough. I have opportunity to speak a little bit more on that. Yes, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, sir. At this level, you don't stop. I mean, the like of Professor Bokuro when he is bringing out some salient points. So that's why I have to allow him. I mean, we need those points at this critical time, because this is at a critical time in our life. And don't let me, digress. Let us go to the ED of the Lake Shadow Research Institute for your first opening talk on achieving a resilient RDI economy in Nigeria. You have 5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, let me confess that this summit was beyond my expectations. Looking at the creme de la creme of the science and technology in the country. And this summit is very apt because of the fact that for any scientist within a particular area, it is apparent that we are working in isolation. There are no coordinated research, either in a specific area in agriculture, in engineering, in water resources, in food technology, in animal science. We are working independently. And I'm very glad that this summit has come to bring us all together so that we now foster cooperation and work together. At the agricultural front, we have colleges of agriculture and research institutes under the purview of the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria. But when I came on board, after 6 months, I realized that we don't know what the other institute or the other college is doing, simply because we don't have a coordinated research on agriculture. This is on agriculture alone. And I assume same applies to many other areas. And when you are attending seminars, conferences, you will also come to realize that some people are wasting time and energy on conducting research, the results of which are lying somewhere in the library, just nearby. And it's also attributed to lack of coordination. So this summit, I think, is the starting point. And I'm very, very optimistic that the desired results would be achieved very soon.
Thank you very much.
Apart from that,
okay. 1 minute.
Okay, I'll wrap up in 1 minute.
Okay.
But then, as has been said by other panelists, we have issues not only relating to the ability to conduct research, but other attitudes that make that research useful for us. For instance, funding. Funding is a problem everywhere when it comes to research, it's known. Then the policy, the government policy in relation to results of research sometimes is disheartening. I think the ED nurse would tell us about a story of a dual-purpose chicken that was bred by National Animal Production Research Institute some 17-20 years ago. That was a very fantastic breakthrough, but it was thrown into the basket simply because somebody wants to import chicken to Nigeria. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. So the policy, the environment also needs to be supportive of the science and technology and the innovation that scientists are bringing forward. Then personal attitude too. We tend to personalize things too much. Everybody wants to show that he is better, and whatever is given to him is not for national interest, but for a particular interest. And this has been going on in various quarters. I think for us to be where we want to be, we have to put our national interests first. These days, I've been reading quite a number of times that any country that makes English language compulsory and agriculture optional will speak good English on empty stomach. and there is a wisdom in this.
Thank you very much. That's a very good one. Thank you very much. We all agree with that.
Yes.
Okay. On that very good note, we have harvested a lot of good opening talks on the I call it a problem stating kind of a thing. We are trying to state out the problems that we are having, the issue of funding, the issue of silos, the issue of individual and unpreparedness towards upscaling ideas, STI ideas was brought out. But very cogent on this is the issue of policy framework that was raised. Each agency, MDAs, they have policy framework that are clearly stated with their mandates. So, Professor Bugajesa, what exactly is wrong with those policy framework given to each MDAs? It is clear, and it has a vision and a mission.
Well, thank you very much. Policy is not roadmap. That's the mistake we are making. Look at the science and technology and innovation policy of the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology. I have seen it, a very small booklet, isn't it? That does not contain the roadmap. Educational policy is also there. It doesn't give the roadmap. Look at all the policies around. It doesn't give you. I have mentioned the case of Malaysia. Malaysia had a Vision 2020 in the 1990s when Mahathir was the Prime Minister, his first coming. With that Vision 2020, they were able to bring out IRPA, intensive research in priority areas. Each of the manufacturing sectors was dissected. And they brought out step-by-step research and development targets for each of those subsectors and different sectors of the industry. With that, they were able to churn out technologies that were homegrown. Professor Bogoro did very well. Let me mention that. Very well in TED Fund. In fact, whatever the current ES is achieving was because of the foundation led by Professor Bogoro. But my argument is the National Research Fund is a great paradigm shift, a great innovation. But there was no roadmap to drive it. That was the point I was raising. Yes, sir. There was no clear roadmap. And when you look at the allocation of funds, 97 of the funds of the NRF was going to the universities. Only 3% was coming to polytechnics. And universities have never churned out any serious technology. They do research in basic sciences. Most of you are scientists, maybe that's why you disagree, and it's not Professor Bogoro who was the first to say it. The former ES of NUC, Professor Rashid, recommended that I should drop my professorial title and take the title of a technician. That's what he suggested. But I'm talking of the reality. Our universities have failed us. I have not seen any innovation. Look at Uganda. Uganda is now producing electric cars. Some of you have seen what the clip by Yoweri Museveni, President Yoweri Museveni. He said he invited Mitsubishi to put up an assembly plant. Mitsubishi were dragging their feet. He called his technicians and engineers and gave them the task to design and produce an electric car. And now they are producing it. It was when they started the production, Mitsubishi came and he sent them away. The same thing with Rwanda. Rwanda is the only African country producing hand phones made in Rwanda, 100%. We have sunk so much money
into R&D across Nigerian universities without any tangible result. If there's anyone who has any product, global product that we call Nigerian from any Nigerian, please let him mention it. I'm here to be corrected. Even the pounded yam machine developed in OAU is not produced in Nigeria. The Japanese took it over. And the Japanese are now exporting, the pounded yam machine to sub-Saharan Africa. So this is a very serious issue. If we continue talking and talking without a clear roadmap, we will go nowhere.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we need a roadmap. So that's the point. So the representative of the NASE, the Professor Gaya, as far as that policy framework is concerned, what is the state of roadmap, STI roadmap? I mean, from NASENI perspective, what is the state?
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm happy the representative of the DG of the policy, highest policy training institute is here, NEPS. Policy is very, very important, but let me say, most of the organizations, the MDAs we're having, are only having an act. No policies interpreting their acts, nothing. So we have not started all right. And even at NASENI, I have been advocate of bringing all the policies that will make us walk in the right direction. Because when you lose the direction and you don't have a system, even when you have the people, you cannot perform.
Okay, sorry, let me quickly interject. There is a National Council on Science and Technology in Nigeria. So what is the framework? What is what is their mandate? What are they actually doing on that?
I think the council is run by the Ministry of Science.
No.
Yes.
And NASENI is no more under science and technology.
NASENI goes, but only one person represents NASENI, collecting proposals, to go and present.
Okay.
But
okay.
I want to say there are some important issues before I talk about this. Please let me highlight the dichotomy between
the polytechnic
universities and polytechnics. In 2017, I attended the IUPAC World Congress, and I spoke at the Golden Hall where many Nobel laureates spoke. And there was Sir Fraser Stoddart, who was the Nobel Prize winner of 2016 in chemistry, came and held me. Are you from Lagos? And we talked a lot. And later on, he came to speak. And during his speech, he mentioned 3 nots. He said universities are not to replicate. So you invent, you have IP, that is your work at the university. Producing could be somebody else. You seed the technology, or you go and have protect it. I'm happy the protection money is here. So but it is not for universities to take it to market. It is not the work of universities. And the third note which he mentioned is not to duplicate the world in which we are living. So university is to invent. That is the work of university. And every country spends quite a lot on universities. If I should tell you, in 2007 or 8, I was in University of Putra, Malaysia, and we received delegates from University of Labara, and they were comparing the amount of funds they received. That's quite huge. You need to see. $10 billion for University of Putra, Malaysia, Faculty of Science, that very time. Nearly $2 billion from private sectors. What the university, I came from Bayero University. The CDA he was mentioning, Center for Dryland, I think it's Prof that mentioned CDA. Yes, I did. I was part of the people, screening research proposals for CDA. We did a lot, skill survey. I did a lot for CDA. I stood from 9 a.m. till 11 trying to get thematic areas for CDA. I led that process. Now, universities are doing a lot, but I want to say the funding is not there. Maybe now is going to go there with the commitment of the current government. Yes, but the funding is not there. If you go to universities, you will see. I believe Prof knows. Prof Bugaje now is more of the executive. But quite all right, universities don't have that kind of funding they deserve. If you go, you will see that now you don't have even research funds at the level of faculties. When we joined the universities, there were funds at the level of faculties. And you will see that all those who excelled, I'm part of NRF. We still have grant. Even day before yesterday, I think in this month, we have published 2 high-impact publications.
Lovely.
Yes, and we received grants from the TET Fund, even while I'm at Naseni, and I'm one of the top 2% scientists in the world. But very difficult when you are in Nigeria. Sometimes even very, very frustrating because of this lack of coordination, lack of interest. The interest is not actually there. The interest is not actually there. It's when you begin to work with the people, you find out that the interest is somewhere else. It's not for contribution. Now, let me say, Prof has mentioned about TVET, technical and vocational education and training. One singular observation which I have made, we went to Borno State, and I refused to talk about it, thinking that the ED of Lake Chad will talk about it, is that Professor Babagana Zulum has done a lot on that aspect. If you go to Borno State, you will see the kind of investments he has made on TVET in terms of mechatronics, in terms of so many areas of skills. Yes. So I believe we have started, but it's like because of this lack of coordination, we are not moving in the same direction. There are so many distractions out there, and those distractions are what this forum needs to concentrate on and deal with. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much, Professor Gaya. Professor Bogorosa, policy framework and the issue of coordination and the issue of interest of the people. I mean, how do we go about it?
Thank you. I will proceed to answer you in proper context, but permit me again, my brother on the right-hand side here has tickled me again, and I need to sort out an aspect that pertains to my leadership of TET Fund in respect of NRDF. Dr. Gira is there, the Director of R&D at TET Fund, and he knows what I did. Somebody said the day we inaugurated RDSC, TET Fund Research and Development Standing Committee, believe me, some of the professors in all disciplines that taught some of us said they never believed we'll have a collection of some of the very best across Nigeria without discrimination, whether by height or color. Let me jokingly put it that way. They never thought it will happen, but it happened. And come and see the recommendations. It included the NRDF. Now, I'm talking about policy. I think we're emphasizing the issue of what do you say beyond policy, the roadmap. You're talking about roadmap. But let's get it. Who handles policy? At what level? Within or between government agencies and partners, that you have a roadmap and one is a policy. Policies are articulated by government, and in most cases, centrally, as it were. But a policy must reflect the priority of a ministry, a department, or an agency. Let's get it in proper context. That is a policy. But a roadmap, roadmap, after all the policies are there, the president could decide to have a desk officer, whether you call special advisor or whatever, or a cluster of them, 2, 3 of them in different areas, from economy to specialist areas of capacity, and ask them to draw a roadmap based on published policies of government. And in most cases, if it is a ministry, for instance, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Agri, with all the diversity of specializations, it has to capture the various areas of specializations. And so, talking about NRDF, as if we did not contemplate, Professor Bugaja, I'm afraid that I'm not sure. I thought you were a member of RDSC. You were not. Maybe that's why. I will excuse your ignorance in that regard. Having said so, let me frankly say this, that the NRDF, as I'm talking now, is being evaluated by the federal government as one of the best instruments that sought to identify the pathway towards deepening knowledge economy for Nigeria to be competitive in the 21st century. I am saying this because I'm privileged to know it is ongoing. Yes. And that is that we got it right. And by the way, NRDF is National Research and Development Foundation. Dr. Ayo, that is the chap that has brought us here today, was technical assistant in charge of R&D for TED Fund under my leadership. And he knows that in one of the meetings, when we were finalizing on the name and acronym, of course, NRDF, some people were saying fund. I say, Mba, let it be foundation, not fund. And I had my reason. I've gone around the world, I've seen funds, and I've seen foundations. A foundation has a larger mandate than a fund. Each time it is fund, people are looking at the money. Bogoro, I was looking at the wider context of the mandate of NRDF if it came into existence. And so I was looking at a database unit. I was looking at governance aspect. I was looking at research specializing in appropriate areas that are relevant for our country. Believe me, the Minister of Health, only recently, well, by chance, we are from the same state. He invited me to his residence for about 1.5 to 2 hours. We had exclusive discussion one night. And I discovered at the end of the day, we spent 3/4 of the time on research. And he told me, he said, Prof, what you did at TED Fund is an eye-opener. It's an eye-opener for this country. And that for us in the medical discipline, we have identified, we are looking at the value chain strengths and weaknesses. And believe me, there is no aspect of it that does not require research. Today, I can confirm to you that when we were struggling to get molecular labs, when COVID hit the world, in Nigeria, after about 5 months, we had 60 molecular labs. I can confirm to you that 1/4 of those molecular labs were funded, were bought rather, by TED Fund and sent to teaching hospitals and colleges of medicine. Today, the one in ATBU, Bauchi, my own university, is being rated by, what do you call it? NCDC, I'm sorry, by NCDC as one of the very best. Even the World Health Organization, when they evaluated it, they said it is one of the very best and it qualifies to facilitate both research and clinical engagements. To me, it's like we got it right. Having said this, I want to make it very clear here that the NRDF, it is a brilliant idea, and right now it's being debated and it will be adopted. We have no alternative in this country if we continue with agriculture without value addition research in specific areas, then we have failed our country. Having said that, let me touch on the aspect of what Bugaja, Professor Bugaja describes as marginalization of the polytechnics in NRF TED Fund.
Maybe we'll come to that.
Okay.
We'll come to that.
I believe a sentence or two will just take care of it if you don't mind. Now, the point is this. NRF had a team that evaluated research across universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. And I still remember, under COVID, we even gave a research grant to Kaduna Polytechnic. I am not sure whether we have had the final outcome from that particular research grant. But let's get it right. TEDFund is proud that the candidate vaccine being produced in partnership with NVRI, UDU Sokoto, University of Jos, and this Chemical Research Institute in Abu Zaria has gone to world reckoning level. I am proud of this, and I believe we can do more, partnering with the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Agriculture, solid minerals. After all, the Minister of Solid Minerals said only 2 days ago that they will not allow anybody to do mining without qualification and evidence that there is value addition capacity.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Prof, it is necessary to state that you are here under the Academy of Science.
I know.
And not
Thank God
necessarily
I've been speaking science.
But now, what you have raised are fantastic. And they are very good information and clarification for us. You are here on the platform of Academy of Science. Thank you very much. The ED Lakeshard. We have talked about the issue of roadmap. And I put it to you that are you saying that there are no roadmap as far as agriculture is concerned, water resources? Are there no roadmap?
Well, there are roadmaps, there are policies, but the issue is the implementation, funding and implementation.
Okay.
Yeah, the issue is that of funding. There are good policies. We have policies on education. We have policies on agriculture. We have policies on health. Go and look at our public primary schools. Look at our secondary schools. Look at our people are still using hoe and cutlass as machetes. There are policies on agricultural mechanization, policies on value addition, but there is no supportive funding. There is no supportive environment to actualize those roadmaps. This is one of the bane that we have in the agriculture sector and in many sectors. Then, apart from that, we also lack consistency in our policies, in our roadmaps, and lack of monitoring and evaluation. A policy would have its own roadmap to be followed by a particular institution. You will find that that institution is either underfunded to actualize or follow the roadmap, or you find that when the chief executive is changed, the roadmap also changes. This is true this is so in many areas. Then coming to the national level, I think the successes that have been, with due respect, Professor, that you have highlighted, and the one highlighted by concerning Borno State. Borno State's population is only 5 million naira. 5 million people. So, and these are isolated cases compared to the area and the population of Nigeria. Very isolated cases. We have very few success stories to be recorded. And this, I think, could be attributed to lack of national planning. I'm opportune to study in some countries under a foreign scholarship. And when I tried to change my course from agronomy to electrical engineering, they told me that the country sent you to study agronomy here. We are not going to change the course for you. They were right. But here in Nigeria, we don't know, or we don't want to know, how many engineers do we have, do we need by let's say 2030, how many technicians, how many agriculturalists, how many doctors. People go and get admission without any planning for the future. And without that planning, I think our objectives will be seriously jeopardized. The country has to have a generalized roadmap. Generalized roadmaps in terms of the scientists, the technicians, and all other drivers of the economy. It is only when we have that, then we can have the success that we yearn for in the near future.
That's great. That's a very great contribution from the ED of the Lakeshad Research Institute. There will be opportunity for us to ask questions and to contribute. But let me exhaust what I have here, and then I will give us the opportunity. Let me start again from the Professor Bugaje. We know where the problem lies. Let us now begin to talk about the future of work, the future of R&D, RDI, and so on and so forth. And I want to ask about what strategy do you think we need to put in place for collaborative network between the academics, all those five, the government, industries, community, academia, and the funders. So what strategy do you think we need to put in place? And how do you think we need to form those interdisciplinary research teams and knowledge exchange? We need to find a way of solving that. And we want to start from you. What is your contribution to that?
Thank you very much. Let me be careful not to touch my esteemed professor again.
And sorry, please, you have 2 minutes, please, so that we address the main issue.
Because my senior brother always fires back. So, diplomatically. But sincerely, we appreciate your contributions to TED Fund, the NRF especially. But we in the polytechnic sector feel we are sincerely marginalized. I hope the terms of accessing research grants would be changed to allow innovators. There were innovators even from Panteka in Kaduna. Recently, one of them brought an innovation. MBT has set up a research and innovation committee. We address it, we try to improve it. And in that team, there was somebody from DICON, Defense Industries. And they immediately took away that innovation. And they paid him some few millions of naira. And when we asked him to come and register it as a patent, he said he was done. He had got his millions. So there are a lot of innovations even in the informal sector. Today, polytechnics have been directed to liaise with the informal sector in their environments with the support of TED Fund. This year, they are given almost more than 5 billion for that. So I think there is need for us to address the issues. Let me answer your question.
Yeah, coordination.
How did other countries, how did they make it? In 1958, at the end of the Korean Civil War, 3 countries in 3 continents were adjudged to have the same indices of development. These 3 countries were South Korea, Brazil, and Nigeria. Today, 68 years after, 66 years after, South Korea is now number 10 in the world, GDP-wise. Brazil is close by. Nigeria is still number 33. Where did we get it wrong? The collaboration you are talking about, if you don't have the correct roadmap, there will be no basis for collaboration. The roadmap we are talking about is not to be developed by government or government agencies alone. You must bring in the private sector when you are developing that roadmap. The industries know their challenges. Technologies are being imported in this country. Raw materials are being imported. The RMRDC itself was set up to stem the tide of importation of raw materials. But if you look at the RMRDC Act, they get a cut of whatever raw materials that are imported. So they will never stop the importation. Because if they stop it, they'll have no budget. So there are a lot of contradictions in the policies, in the acts running these agencies of government. So you need to bring the private sector, the industries on board, create a platform. Let NASENI and other research agencies be on that platform. Let TED funds, NRF, be on that platform. Then we can bring out a very clear, sustainable roadmap that can move science and technology forward in this country.
That's good.
Importantly, we should do collaboration more on technology development. Outside medical and agricultural research, our scientific research in Nigeria is not so critical. Science research is going on all over the world. Results are being published. Let us leverage on those, invest our little money in the development of technology, things that we can apply in our daily lives. And this is the role which polytechnics can play. And this is the role which is being ignored. So I hope I hope I have not talked on my Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Let me stop here.
That point is well noted. So, Professor Gaya, so looking at the existing coordination strategies on ground and the need, for coordination and the future of work, the future of RDI, what are the new strategies do you think we need to put in place in order to have a resilient RDI economy? 2 minutes, please.
Okay, thank you. I can do it quickly. I think it is pertinent to say inviting the Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology is very, very important, and you did that because he chairs the National Science Council. And the second thing which has been mentioned by the ED of lectured is planning, which throughout our talk we have not mentioned that. Planning, not just to make policy, but planning. Anybody that has gone to the institute, National Institute, I'm a member of the National Institute SLIP, and you will get to know that it's not just to make a policy, but you have to make a wider coverage of the stakeholders. Otherwise, the policy will fail. Everybody knows about rigor policy. Where is it now? You know, the implementation will become difficult if you make policy without consultation. You have to make wide consultation, and I believe that is why Professor Bogaji is talking about bringing all the stakeholders together. Another thing which he has mentioned is indices. Now, one of the most important indices that is being neglected here, and hardly if even the data organizations like NASEPTEM and what do you call it, the Bureau of Public Statistics even thinks about it, is what are the scientific developments that you convert to technological developments. Once you miss that one, your indices, well, forget about innovation index of Nigeria growing, but this one is the most important one, and there is a word that they use to, I think, correlation, something like that. Yeah. Yes, and that is one of the things which we are really missing. And at one of my presentations, I think in India, I was invited, they sponsored everything, to the 21st Security Conference, Asian Security Conference. I made presentations, and part of what I taught is that I think planning is very, very important. Most of our agencies don't have policies, and hardly if you can now make your chief executive to work within a particular direction, because now he has everything. The ball is in his court. He does what he likes. because there are no policies. And even when you have the policies have not been really well designed. I can tell you an example. We went, NIDA has policy, you know, so these people Prof talked about at Panteka, and when they have innovation, you can, startups, you can now acquire the startups. Now, NIDA has startup policy. Now, I went and we were talking about the implementation of the startup policy, and we discovered there are problems. That stakeholder involvement, you know, is not enough. So many stakeholders were not involved. I believe even MBT, because I was there. And we told them, this policy will have, you will have problem with this policy. So we have a lot of problems. I don't know, but coming together, and the more we talk about them, I think we will solve all these problems. So many universities have good policies. I know at Bayer University, I participated in writing the intellectual property policy, research policy, authorship policy, you know, and I single-handedly drafted the journal publishing policy, and we all have policies we are using, but there are places they have policies which cannot be implemented. And I think all these problems that we need to solve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There are a lot of problems to solve, and I think now we are bringing out, we are teasing out some of those salient points. Professor Bugru, we are talking about fostering knowledge exchange, and then the issue of the coordination. And then moving forward, we also want you to add it to the issue of RDI infrastructure across the country, you know. So in order to have an inclusive development, how do you think we can achieve that? How do you think is the best sustainable way to drive RDI infrastructure in this country?
I'm happy to say I already told you people that it was unprecedented for an agency under a ministry to work across to another ministry to sign an MOU, which TEDFund did with the Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. It had hardly happened in this country. And I got the endorsement of the Minister of Education at that time to do that. So talking about partnership, coordination, I can tell you it's like the central vein as far as our policy in TEDFund under my leadership was, because you couldn't do anything. I had mentioned it earlier that when I was asked to deliver the keynote address, the inaugural keynote address at the annual conference, scientific session of Academy of Science on SDGs and the economy. It was knowledge economy. And it was very easy to sieve out, and consistently the most dominant elements were the contribution of science. The basic sciences, of course, the applied sciences, and indeed the technologically biased components of science, as it were. So I want to recall that the Federal Polytechnic Bauchi did something that I want to share here. Believe me, in NRF, the Federal Polytechnic Bauchi is rated as one of the best in terms of winning TEDFund research grant. And I'll give you a classic example. It was, they innovated an electronic tracker for Russell cattle. That is most relevant. In fact, when I got, the rector came to my office one day to share with excitement
existing solutions. So I'll conclude by showing you one thing. I was a researcher. I left the university as associate professor. I joined the civil service from assistant chief. I became director, even acted permanent secretary at the federal level. I left the federal level, I went to the state to become secretary to the government. So I know politicians. So you need academia, you need policy, and you need politics. There are very few people who have got this, and I encourage this summit to recommend that academic people should also move to the other sectors to experience that, so that there's not just academic. You get what I mean? So because I did that, I noticed that we have out-of-school children problem in this country. 25 to 30 million people, children, out of school. It's a problem. Majority of these children as Almajiris going to the Islamic schools. So I went into research, going back to my university days. And I did a lot of research. I went to all the Sangayas. I went to Kasina. I went to Yobe. I even went to Kogi. And then I came up with this. I picked up the wooden slate. I made it into a device. And on that device, I put a digital tablet on it. So the Allah has changed forever. You can even put it like that for those children who are reading. But now, the digital plate there, you will have not just the Quran, not just the Hadith. You will also have a video application on how to prepare a gusi, how to repair tables, how to make sure that you paint houses, how to make all these things, and so on and so forth. So these children that you think are out of school, when you give them this allo, you have handed over a university to them in terms of skills and so on. This is now patented. We have the patent. And because I have the patent, I did not produce I licensed it to an industry. I am now receiving 10%, will not work. You must come up and protect it as a standard, patent it.
So that is the way to go.
Close relationship between research fellows or professors up to professorial level and the faculty members up to professorial. Vet medicine for those of us in animal science. I took a number of courses from the faculty of vet, from physiology and all that. So we cannot create walls between ourselves. That is why the issue of coordination, Mr. Coordinator, is very important beyond this meeting.
Okay.
I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That is why issue of coordination is more important beyond this meeting. The question of academy and industry. For policies, you want to quickly answer that? Yes. Yes, you want to quickly answer that?
I want to emphasize the mandate of NASENI here.
Oh, good.
Because NASENI is actually the agency that should propel all these industrialization processes. But there is no agency that you are going to take that has this kind of encompassing mandate which NASENI has. Only NASENI has that kind of mandate. And currently, we're having a new executive vice chairman, and we have a platform for products evaluation. And that platform, anybody can send, if you have any product which you made through your research, you can actually apply for funding, all those. Yes. We are currently creating also one for for financial support for academic research. Only problem-solving research, and we are creating that so that we start, yes. So if you have any research that is going to produce product, fine, you can apply. So those links, I'm sure, are going to be out in the public. Okay.
Thank you, Coordinator. Just one point. I don't want us to miss the difference which Dr. Umar Binder explained to us about research and development. It's very important. If we mix the two, we'll have problems. A lot of research is going on, but we don't move them to the level of development, taking them to bring out, use those research findings to produce, solve problems or a technological tool. I will give a few examples. Air Vice Marshal Isaho is here. He was the DG of DRDB, the Defense Research. 3D printer.
Organizers of this event have taken note about the issues. So we thank her for being able to step forward and put the complaint right away. So, well, I apologize on behalf of the organizers for that sleep. So an announcement for you. So we're not done yet. Please, I would suggest that you remain seated. There is more to come. By the way, there's an announcement you need to know, you need to get on to be on that panel. So if you must leave, just know that you should come back Wednesday, the third day of this conference in the morning, so you can be part of that discussion on intellectual property protection. NOTAP has agreed to be on the panel. Okay, so if you'll indulge me, can I get some attention? Gentlemen, Professor Gaia, could you take your seat, sir? Now, why am I asking for our attention? We have in our midst the privilege to have the sponsors of this program, and I thought it would be nice to acknowledge the institution. And by the way, I'll do something else too. I wanted to highlight the fact that the organizers, the two partners who are putting this together, WACREN and RIKE SD. You can see RIKE SD right at the bottom here. So over there, so you can find RIKE SD. If you don't know what it stands for, Google it. Did I say Google? Sorry, forgive me. Search for it on the internet. I don't make endorsements for free. Can you imagine the microphone talking in public and saying Google it without a penny paid? All right, so just to say that RIKE SD and WACREN are the key partners who've put this interesting event together. And to also emphasize that they have agreed to bring NOTAP on Wednesday to talk about intellectual property protection and all of those issues. So please return tomorrow, but certainly also on Wednesday. Tomorrow will be exciting, so would Wednesday. Never a dull moment. And by the way, that panel you saw, what we wanted was a fireside chat, really. And I wasn't sure I should bring Professor Bogoro on. Wanted a, have fireside chats, banter, lighthearted, but it turned out to be a real fire, actually, a real fire. So I would say that we'll tone things down a bit. We forgot the real fire, but let's also get some bit of a background to this whole thing, and that's going to come from the British High Commission. It's my pleasure at this time to ask that we listen truly to Susan Mshana, who is the Deputy Development Director and Head of ISDU, which is the Integrated Strategy and Delivery Unit of the British High Commission here in Nigeria. They've gladly paid for everything. Not the gents and ladies, but at least the food. So you have the microphone now, you can talk to them.
Thank you.
Please remain seated. We still have a little more to come. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction. And I deeply regret not having been here, having seen the fire that I just joined for 10, 15 minutes. I'm sure the morning has been a very, very productive one. And by the end of day 3, one hopes that you will come up with some very solid ways forward and recommendations to actually improve coordination and all the other issues that you have touched on. But I have prepared a little speech. I hope it's all still valid and doesn't go against anything else that's been said this morning. But first of all, I do want to actually recognize
Susan,
distinguished panel members.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I really wanted you at center stage. But if you can't come here, come to the center.
Oh, okay, okay.
I don't want to be accused of partiality. We need you on the one side.
I thought the mic was going to carry me across the room. But yes, I just wanted to actually recognize the distinguished guests, the panel members, other ladies and gentlemen, and my fellow colleagues, some of whom are here. Just to say I'm really glad I did manage to get here. Very sorry that I couldn't come in earlier, but it is my pleasure to be here even just for these few minutes and hear the fire in the room. So on behalf of the British High Commission here in Nigeria, I'd like to share with you today some thoughts on the UK's vision on the broad spectrum of science, technology, research and innovation, focusing on research, development, and innovation, which is the theme of today's summit. And we'll touch on our offer to our Nigerian friends and allies and how we see the summit fitting with our ambition. International science cooperation and openness is at risk. Emerging technologies exacerbate existing inequalities between and within countries and rising geostrategic competition and associated protectionism. These are all introducing new barriers to collaboration. This trajectory undermines global appetite for science collaboration between and even within countries, particularly between around low middle income countries for development. Yet rapid equitable progress against global challenges can't be achieved without not only maintained but increased collaboration on science and technology. Amid escalating interlinked crises, the world needs to accelerate the revolution in science, technology, research, and innovation to build global resilience to shared challenges. Progress on the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, is faltering in the face of shared challenges, including food and energy insecurity, climate change, and health threats. Many of the major steps forward in international development, including to tackle poverty and increasing life expectancy, have been driven by advances in science and technology and the use of rigorous research-based evidence on what does and does not work. Yet these advantages would not have been possible without open, equitable, and secure international collaboration, complemented by strong local research governance. Narrowing down to Nigeria and the topic of discussion at the summit, it is unimaginable that the quantum of research across different disciplines being conducted across research institutions, private firms, management consultants, government agencies, and civil societies. However, the emerging challenge being observed is a lack of coordination of all parties involved in research, development, and innovation at the central and federal levels in Nigeria. This comes with the attendant need for standardization, policies, and regulations to ensure best practice in research, irrespective of the field of study, while ensuring government visibility and support in data management across all geographic resolutions. The Science, Technology and Innovation Strategy for Africa 2024, produced by the African Union Commission, encourages each member state to allocate 1% of GDP for research and development. This is based on the premise that robust research and development will help chart the path for local development, hence the need for a central level coordinating government institution in Nigeria to ensure no sector of the economy or relevant stakeholders left behind in research funding. Such an institution will also ensure high research quality and provide oversight for research production and dissemination at the national level. Above all, a central level research coordinating body would give the federal government a big picture view within one organization of all the different research and development activities going on in the country across geographic scale, economic sector, and discipline, as well as those involved. This would further strengthen the RDI sector in the country while improving government's capacity to plan better and make evidence-informed decisions and policies. We are committed to championing progress towards a more open, equitable, and secure research ecosystem that is more inclusive to support greater multilateral and bilateral collaborations on science and technology. The UK's FCDO, Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, can provide a counter-narrative, leveraging a wide range of cross-government international funds and experienced network delivering science diplomacy and its leading role in multilateral fora. The British High Commission can demonstrate the importance of R&D programming and wider collaboration to fuel the necessary advances in science and technology in Nigeria. And this can be done in a way that builds on trusted relationships and protects research security. The collaborative effort of the UK, with strategic partners currently supporting 16 African countries through the Science Granting Council's initiative, to set up or were already existing strengthen their national research and innovation coordinating institution. Today's event is a testament to this support in Nigeria by creating this safe space to discuss and problem solve on the best approach to set up and operationalize a national research and innovation coordinating institution in Nigeria with all strategic stakeholders in attendance. The British High Commission in Nigeria is well placed to enhance Nigeria's empowerment by developing research capability, removing barriers to increase quality scientific output, and facilitating technical tech transfer. With the capacity of research institutions in Nigeria growing and the number of quality of research outputs increasing, there's a critical opportunity to develop a more global, open and inclusive research ecosystem which works for the UK and our Nigerian partners. We also have a strong story to tell on technology and knowledge transfer that is embedded in broad capability-centered partnerships. These are issues that really matter to Nigeria and often feature in broader bilateral discussions on science and technology, meaning there's a strong case for visible UK leadership in this space. We are committed to using our global voice for public good, creating modern partnerships that give precedence to local ownerships and needs, and offering unmatched breadth and quality of support to our partners. In the pursuit of our vision, we will be patient because we know that it takes time to achieve sustainable and transformative impacts. Thank you for your attention. That was rather long. Thank you.
Just a moment, Susan. Sorry, forgive me. I listened very carefully, and I like the ending. Is it right for me to assume that the FCDO is in this for the long haul?
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I applaud for her. So all the worry about continuity is not a problem anymore. We've got a real support.
In partnership, right?
Partnership, yes, of course. I agree absolutely. So that's an interesting ending to her remark. Thank you, Susan.
Okay.
Okay, so we really are winding down, and I'm happy that you're all mostly seated. Many years ago, just a little story to show how pleased I am. And it was an event like this, and there were professors who were talking. Well, a particular professor who was really advanced had the chance. By the way, I granted her wish to speak from the floor, so she doesn't appear like a keynote speaker. So this professor was speaking, was bespectacled, and was sitting right on the podium alone, was talking for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. By the time he finished, there were only 2 persons in the hall. So he looked up, pulled off his glasses and said, "Hey you, why are you still here?" One of the 2 gentlemen stood up to say, "Well, it's my job to give the vote of thanks, so I was waiting for you to finish so I can give the vote of thanks." And the other one, he said, "Okay, what about you? Why you left? Everybody else is gone." And that other fellow said, "Okay, so my own function in this conference is to shut the doors at the end of it." So you know why I'm excited? I thought, well, going to be half the number after the minister had opened the conference. But almost every seat has someone on it. Fantastic, really. So that shows the commitment, the interest that this is generated. And so I'd like to congratulate the FCDO for helping to fund this, and also WACREN for the thought that's gone in. And of course, RAC SD. This gentleman is a workhorse. He's never tired. And then on that note, I'd like to bring you 2 back on stage to make closing remarks. No, Omar, you're not going anywhere.